Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midierror Meets podcast, where we speak to all kinds of people from the world of sound and music. On the show this time, we have Melle Brown, a really talented house music DJ, producer and presenter who is based in London. Melle originally attended the Brit School, which is a really famous talent school that we have here in the UK. And before she'd even graduated from her music technology course, she had her track played on 1Xtra. After that, she got signed to Jamz Supernova's Future Bounce record label, and she had the Intersection EP supported by the likes of Elton John and Trevor Nelson. Beyond that, she worked with Annie Mac on a record which ended up being the best dance track of the year in the Billboard charts in 2022. Melle also heads up the Melody Agency, a music business with community at its core. She's super talented, and the first thing that we start talking about is where she grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in London, Camden Town. I think it was a really nice kind of creative space to grow up in Camden, with all the different stuff going on around the borough, and like the amount of creative kind of uh, the amount of creative programs for young people. That was like really an amazing I guess attribution to where my career's gone to now, and like fostering that creativity from a young age I think is so important. And yeah, I try where I can to always talk about the power of like community groups for young people, and like, you know, extracurricular activities, because yeah, it really does change a young person's path and gives them an outlet of, you know, an outlet that maybe they haven't even considered that they were even good at, or that they kind of enjoyed as a hobby. Or, you know, I think it's really lovely that, you know, Camden kind of gave that to me.
Yeah, and I guess a very diverse international cultures, a lot of influences in all kinds of aspects of the community.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very multicultural, very diverse. You learn a lot about different cultures and different people, even. And I just guess that's the foundation of, like, you know, uh, how you build your world around you as you get older, and um, you know, the different cultures and kind of, yeah, experiences, lived experiences that you understand, which then forms your world as an adult. So yeah, it's really important.
And what sort of workshops did you do growing up that inspired you?
So I actually went to the Roundhouse from the age of 14, and I did all types of stuff. I did flash mob dancing. We did
Nice.
a random dance in the middle of Victoria Station. That was one of them that obviously built confidence. And then like playwriting, I guess like acting for film and TV. And then there was obviously music production and DJing. So that's actually where I learned to produce music at the Roundhouse. And I just love the fact that, you know, you've got a blank canvas and you can put sound on it and kind of just play around with how you want it to develop into a track. And I didn't even really know what I was doing at the time, but, you know, with the course and the guidance of like the tutors, you do end up, you know, building confidence in a new area. And it was like, then I was like, oh, I was obsessed with it, and it did become my hobby. You know, I'd just be making beats, you know, at home and stuff, with, you know, the assistance and like information from tutors and stuff, like going back and forth to the class. So that was really powerful for me. And yeah, it's definitely something that kind of inspired who I am today and what I do. There was also Camden Summer University. That was a really great thing for young people. And basically you could sign up, I believe, via the different schools, and all the different schools would kind of unite at a college in the summer. So be like almost like a play center, but there'd be different campuses around. So you'd go to different schools in the borough and do different classes. I thought that was really great as well. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And when you were learning like DJing and music production, what were the sort of what were the most resonant pieces of advice that you got back then that kind of really stayed with you?
I have to think back. I think the probably most important piece of advice was just to like trust your instinct and just be who you are. Like, don't, you can always be inspired by someone else's sound, but never like try to replicate it, because it can be replicated, but it can't, if that makes sense. And it's always better to stay true to your own sound. And then that's when something unique happens and you become your own artist and your own self. And yeah, putting your energies into crafting something that's new. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably the piece of advice.
definitely. And a lot of people that I speak to say this, you know, like in the music industry, it's like keeping your own style is so important. Like it's good to emulate other artists and maybe how they're producing or like doing certain elements.
Yeah,
But yeah, you have to have your own creative voice.
exactly. It makes such a big difference. Mhm.
And what sort of tools were you using? Like, what did you first experiment with in terms of producing your own music?
Very first was Garage Band. I was like, what is this thing? Just playing around with it, like, okay. And then when I actually went on to the course at the Roundhouse, it was Ableton that we was using. Um, and yeah, Ableton and Logic. And I I think Logic stuck with me more, um, just purely because of the layout. I
Hmm.
found it easier to visually like see my music in that way. Whereas I think Ableton is still great, but it's a little bit more. I feel like Ableton feels a little bit more scientific, and I'm not very good at science, so I'm quite literal. So Logic was always the best tool for me. Yeah,
Excellent. And yeah, Logic's built-in like devices are absolutely amazing. Like the synths
yeah,
sound really, really, really good.
exactly. So yeah, it's just kind of like it's got everything that you need in there. So yeah, I think whatever door like works for you the best, I think is the best one to use. I think there's a lot of pressure on electronic music and like what system, what software you use. But I just say whatever one you feel most comfortable on, because you're going to have to live in that project for a while. You're going to have to see it from inception to completion and make sure that you want to complete the song. So you better choose the software that you like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like frequent question on forums like what is the best DAW? And it's kind of like saying what is the best food? It's like, well,
Yeah,
it completely depends on your taste, like, you know.
exactly. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, great. So you mentioned doing a bit of acting there, and sort of experiencing lots of other things in London in workshops. You studied musical theatre at one time.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So I went to the Brit School from year 10 to 14, and I was in musical theatre there, singing, dancing, and acting. Never fit something that I thought I would end up going into from childhood, but yeah, it was great because it gave me a foundational experience in all of those mediums, and trying to work out like where I sit within all of that, and bring me out of my shell a little bit. Um, I don't think I was the best dancer or the best singer per se, just in terms of like confidence wise, but Brit really brought that out of me. I thought acting was my strongest point when I went into Brit, and then yeah, to my surprise, they really threw me into the deep end by giving me the lead role in one of the musicals, Miss Saigon, and I was
Wow.
like, and like like when everybody's like getting their roles and stuff like read out in front of the whole class. When they said my name for like the lead, everybody just kind of looked at me like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like, they're looking at me. I don't want to do it. Like, get someone else to do it. So, so yeah, it was a fun experience. And yeah, it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. It is something that, although I don't use musical theatre necessarily in my everyday life, when I think about it, like the training on stage and stage presence is something that I now use when I'm DJing. And being confident in front of crowds of people, um yeah, it's really something that like I can go on stage now and kind of just like not even really realize that there's a crowd there. If anything, I'm more nervous when there's less people. And I know that sounds weird, but I kind of like, because those first people that come, the early ones, the ones that are here to hear good music, they're the ones you really need to impress. And I guess when a whole vibe is there and they're like, there's a bigger audience, everybody's moving in one motion and like enjoying it as a joint experience. But when there's like a few like souls in the crowd, it's like, ooh, okay, let's get these people dancing. Because if you get those people dancing, the rest of the night is going to be great. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's when I'm
yeah.
actually most nervous. So
Yeah, because you have played some pretty big venues. Like there's a great video of your Printworks gig, for example, and it's like
yeah,
ram full of people. You know.
I know that was, yeah, that actually was like really nerve wracking, because that's, I think, the first gig that I'd played that size of a venue and also crowd. So that one I was actually quite nervous for, but then I just kind of like, do you know what? Like, you're here, you might as well enjoy it. So yeah, I think you just kind of go into the motions of it, and also I think a massive thing that really helps me when I'm on stage is like I like to be surrounded by a lot of friends and family. And I think when I turn around and I see them dancing or them smiling or having a good time, like having a drink or like, you know, connecting with each other and enjoying the music, that feels safe to me. So I don't really, as much as obviously a DJ is about reading the crowd, I do that musically, but I try to not like overthink every aspect of what the crowd is thinking and just kind of lean into family and friends.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I guess the crowd are there to hear what you want to say. Yeah, and there are many parallels, aren't there, between being on stage, that live performance aspect, being the kind of, and especially is that, well done for being the lead role in that play. You know, when it was a complete
Thanks.
surprise. Uh, it's probably one of those things. It may well be one of those things where it's like at the time you were like, "Why the hell am I doing this?" But
Yeah.
sort of years later, you look back and go, "That was so good that I got put in that situation."
Yeah, definitely. Like head first, deep end. Like, okay, well, let's take this seriously. Like, and I think the teachers and tutors, like, all credit to them. I think they kind of saw that I had a potential, but just needed to throw me into it. And then, you know, they were right. I did a decent job. So I was even to my surprise as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we surprise ourselves sometimes, don't we? We surprise
exactly.
ourselves. Can you just paint a picture of like the Brit School and what it's like? Because I grew up in like the countryside, so a very sheltered upbringing. Yeah, what's it like in London at the Brit School? Can you just like paint a picture of being there?
Yeah, of course. I guess so I guess from the beginning it's like it's almost like I know it's gonna sound very strange. It's almost like a pilgrimage to Brit every day with the same people. that you see waiting at that Victoria kind of entrance to the platforms. Everybody kind of congregates there, and after a while the faces that go to Brit. So we all traveled together, which was really, I think, one of the most special things that's a little bit underrated about Brit, because we're all coming from all different parts of London, and especially those that didn't live in South London already, having to cross over, with Clapham, and then further across the river. It felt like a safe space, everybody traveling together, because also you've got to remember, like, year 10, I don't even know how old you are, but you're quite young.
Year
um,
10, like 15, maybe?
yeah, 15, and like going on public transport on your own. I remember, like, first day, mum and dad dropping me at Victoria Station and then letting me go on, to school. Like, it's quite nerve-wracking for parents as well, but I think it's really like comforting to them to know that there's so many kids going the same way. So yeah, I guess we'd like have a structured timetable of like Spanish and like geography and like maths and English and all that kind of stuff, like just a normal school. But then you would end up going to your strand, is what they call it. So strand could be musical theatre, music, drama, or theatre. Yeah, theatre strand. And then there was like a community strand, digital media, which included broadcasting and stuff like that, and then fashion and textiles. So yeah, there was like lots of different areas. So we all mix in terms of GCSE normal lessons, maths, English, science, etc., etc. And then when you go to your strand, it's kind of like, this is my team per se.
Mm.
And then you're split into like different groups, and you've got your own, I think, your tutor. I think it's what it's called. Yeah, your own tutor. And then you kind of have like regular like update meetings, and how do you feel like this assessment went, and where do you need support on this, or yeah. And then we'd all work together towards a show at the end of term, and or a performance of some sort. So yeah, and then like especially in musical theatre, it's very physical. So I remember like 9:30 a.m. we're like all already warming up, like running around the dance studios, getting all sweaty and like trying to strengthen our cores and like work on our balance, and just all very like detailed niche things, which was, yeah, it was a really special experience. And it was more amazing to see, like, okay, when you first go into it, it feels a bit intense, but like after you've been there maybe even 6 months, you actually see the difference in your confidence, your ability. You see like your dance start improving. Like, we always used to like film and record like some of the dances, and then like look back in them and see where you can improve and stuff. And it really does happen quite quickly as a transformation, like everybody kind of working together and trying to support each other. I do think from a, I guess, view of confidence and going in there as maybe more of an underdog, like you've got people that are like ridiculously talented, and you can just see it and hear it, and it's just like, okay, yeah, you belong on Broadway. Do you know what I mean? But then like there's people like a little bit more underdog that have the talent but don't really know how to grow it or improve it, and that's the kind of category that I would put myself into. um it is actually quite overwhelming when you're surrounded by so many like seriously talent, like obviously talented people, and you're like, okay, where do I like fit into this? But I think yeah, it was really good like character building, and it was just learning that it's okay to like be yourself. I think like everybody's got something to offer, and that's what the tutors there were really good at, like trying to share with people, so you didn't ever feel like you was outcast. or
Hmm.
there was ever favoritism. Like everybody would always get an opportunity. Like I said earlier, they gave me the lead role and everybody was like, what? So yeah, it's kind of like they do try and like spread opportunities and yeah.
That's fantastic. And
It's
I
really
think
good.
for people that aren't familiar with Brit School, it's kind of got a quite a big history in the UK or in England,
Yeah.
for yeah, creating pop stars and stars in the acting world. Yeah, quite a famous alumni that have been there.
Yeah, alumni like Jessie J was in musical theatre, and then Amy Winehouse as well, and then
Wow,
more recent stars Ray, and Rachel Chinouriri. They were in music, and but then you got Tom Holland, who is actually in my year,
wow,
in acting. So it's kind of like, yeah, but then you've also got, which is really lovely to see, like the stars of the musical theatre world today, like Owen Chaponda is Simba in Lion King, or it's just finished, and
amazing.
Taron Calendar was in Hamilton, and like you see them everywhere, like in Wicked and like all over the place. So it's like whenever I'm watching TV, I'm like, oh, there's so and so. Like, or I'll be traveling on the underground and I'll just see Owen's face like just there. And I'm like, this is so strange, but I'm so happy for them. Do you know what I mean? But you kind of get used to it after a while seeing people pop up. But then even in Dance Strand, like there's this girl Demi Mensa. She's on Dua Lipa's tour dance team, and like you'll see them pop up on the Brit Awards or like Britain's Got Talent or something like that, like as they're like the lead dancers. So yeah, it's when you think about it like that, it really does ooze stars like that also aren't less necessarily in the spotlight, if that makes sense. Like they might be behind the scenes. Like there's so many incredible radio presenters and producers and music teams that are behind the scene. Like BBC One Extra music team is like there's a person from Brit School on it, and radio presenters. Yeah, it's Ricky, Melvin, Charlie. I think Ricky went to the Brit School. So yeah, it's like if you say Brit, that you're guaranteed to find in the entertainment industry at least like 70% of people that have kind of I'm making that number up, but I generally believe it's about 70%. Like
So yeah, what was your transition from like Brit School to studying music technology at the University of West London?
so I on the weekends was going so I was in Brit on the weekdays, and on the weekends I was going to the Roundhouse to keep up my producing skills and just like really enjoyed doing it. And I actually started producing soundtracks for our dance performances at
Oh,
Brit.
cool.
So whenever anyone needed like a soundtrack or anything, they'd come to me to produce it, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And it wasn't ever something that was, kind of, I mean, obviously they've got Music Strand when they'll always be producing songs and stuff, but actually crafting like more soundscapes, I'd say. I remember when we did a dance piece about social media and the effect it can have on the mind and stuff. And I made a beat like with like Facebook poke noises and MSN noises and like all the kind of iconic like Skype, the Skype ringtone and stuff like that. And yeah, we danced to it, and that was really cool actually.
Uh,
And then like our over and out performance, it's like when you say kind of you're leaving, and but we do a performance and you can kind of craft whatever you want it to be. Everybody has to kind of present something, and yeah, again, I created a it's actually on my SoundCloud still, a piece of music, and went round and got vox pops from everybody or friends that would say like what Brit meant to them. and then like
That's really cool.
put it into a beat. So alongside Brit, I was always producing basically, and people would kind of come to me for that. So I thought, oh, do you know what? Like, I love musical theatre and I love like the confidence and experience it's given me, but I can't see myself going to these auditions weekly, you know, trying to like get into a certain musical. I need to have a little bit more control over like what I'm doing, because that you put that in the hands of someone else. They're like, is she good enough or not? Or, you know, like I didn't really like that aspect of it. And I think auditions can feel very they can actually be a bit toxic sometimes. Uh and I think there's something to be said about improving the mental health of like, or the process of auditions, because people are more treated like just kind of, yeah, okay, no, next. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
Mm.
oh, that's actually someone's, that's a person, like they've got
Yeah, yeah.
emotions and like feelings and stuff. So me, I'm too fragile to hack that. So I said, sorry, that's not for me. And then
Good to recognize that,
yeah.
for sure.
And then I went to um BIM and did the music technology course there, but I was only there for a year in Brighton, just because I don't know, it didn't really feel like the course for me. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more advanced than it was. So I ended up going to but that's just for me. I guess like I've seen like lots of people come out of BIM and like, you know, be successful and get what they needed from it. But I just felt like I wanted something a little bit more advanced, because I really wanted to delve deeply into the world of music production. So yeah, I went to the University of West London and did a music technology specialist course. So managed to get onto the second year of that course, and yeah, it was amazing. There's a tutor there called Pip. He's a legend, um, and he always used to wear a Ferrari cap. But yeah, I think they've got like literally state of the art studios there, and you could book them for free, and like literally, I think we all had like credits, a certain amount of hours per month that you could use in the studio. um, so yeah, me and my friends just used to be in the studios overnight. Like sometimes you could start a session at 10 and you could book the studio from 10 till, I don't know, 5, 6 a.m. if you really wanted to get
Amazing.
working on a project. And I think that freedom of having that space and knowing that you're safe, and actually using like world class equipment really like developed my mind kind of where it needed to be for, yeah, I guess what where I wanted to take my career and the things I wanted to learn. And then I ended up doing an EP, which was my dissertation, and that was called Blossom EP. And yeah, it did quite well considering it was my first EP. And then I learned a lot about music business and stuff by making my first EP my dissertation. So I started networking. I was out all the time networking, going to, you know, free events on Eventbrite, or, you know, just getting out and meeting people and telling them who I am and what I do. And I was quite proactive on that. I don't think I could do that nowadays. I don't know where the confidence came from. I was just like quite fierce with it and just like, yeah, this is who I am. Da, 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 da. Do you know what I mean? Like giving a spiel to everybody I met. So yeah, it's so funny. Like when you're younger, the amount of like confidence you can kind of have, and there's no like, I don't know, like level of the kind of person you will speak to. Like I think there was so many of us in that era, and when I say era I mean like maybe like 2017, maybe even earlier. It's more like 2015, 2016. Like there was just an energy amongst people who wanted to be in the music industry, and everybody was just going for it, and we was all inspired by each other. So
Mm.
yeah, and then yeah, so through the network and stuff, I was able to get my EP premiered on a magazine called Galdem, um, and then also managed to get it played on the radio. My first ever radio play on One Extra with Cyan Anderson. It was for a feature she was doing called Online Find, and she was like, "Okay, I'm looking for new music." This is when Twitter was Twitter.
Mhm.
um, I'm looking for new music. Can you send me anything that you have, kind of thing? And I sent her a track called Bloom off the Blossom EP. And yeah, she played it. And I did an interview with her as well on One Extra, which was crazy.
That's
So
brilliant.
yeah, all that stuff I was able to put in my dissertation. So
Was oh
yeah.
really was so you had the airplay on One Extra while still at uni.
Yeah, while still at uni.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. So I was able to put it all in my dissertation and write about how I did it. And yeah, I got a
Nice.
first on the dissertation, but a
I was
two.
going to mention that. Yeah, it probably contributes to the fact you got a first.
Yeah, first. So yeah, so yeah,
Well done. That's really cool.
thank
That's
you.
the proud moment, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think having something, because I'm someone that kind of like needs a little bit of motivation to get stuff done. I think, procrastination kind of sometimes takes over. But if you've got a deadline, or you know more of a reason to do something other than I just want to do this, then
Mm.
it really kind of helps. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I a couple of episodes ago I spoke to Martin Ware of the Human League and Heaven 17.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and he said a similar thing about like when you've got studio time back in the day when if they had like studio booked for a week, like a really amazing studio,
Mm.
it was like you've got to deliver something in that week. You've got to like work together and make it happen. And he said he like really loved that, the fact that there's this finite limit of we've got this studio for 5 days, we've got an album to make, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like those kind of restrictions can be good as well. I mean, yes, it is a restriction, but it can be good as well.
Yeah, a healthy one, exactly. And I think, yeah, you're right. I think maybe I even need to take a leaf out of Martin's book myself and just like book a studio and be like, right, let's go, 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 go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I also have a friend of mine, James Wiltshire, who's a really amazing producer, and he has like an egg timer in his studio,
Oh,
and he kind of
wow.
allocates like 20 minutes to do this thing, and like work in like short bursts with focus on one particular thing,
Mm,
which I bought my own egg timer for when I'm making
that's a
tunes.
really
Not that
good
my tunes are
tip.
any good, but it's a good tip
That's
because
a
you're
great
like,
tip.
I've got 20 minutes to do this thing. And that was the other thing that Martin Ware said, which was really good, was like the work expands to fill the time. So if you've got
Mm,
6 months to make something, you'll take like 5.5 months to think about it, and then like
yeah,
the
and
last
then,
month, and then do it.
it's
Whereas
true.
if whereas if you've got a studio for 5 days, you will do it in 5 days because that's how long you've got.
Do you know what? That's actually so good. I'm gonna have to take that with me, through my next studio session planning bits, because there's so many ideas that I have, and I'm like always doing it in like little bits. Oh, I'll just have a session with this person, and then like 2 months later, oh, maybe we should get a session in with this person, and then the dates don't align, and then it's like 6 months down the line that you finally get it in. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe actually having like a set week for a camp and just doing it would be the best idea.
Yeah, certainly worth trying. What do you look for in collaborators? Like when you're working with people, what do you look for in somebody?
Um, when I'm looking at collaborators, I actually look at, I guess, more up and coming artists, and artists that have got like real talent, but haven't necessarily been in the limelight as such. I just find that there's less politics when you working with someone that is in it for the music and just for the creation and trying to make something new and special. But also, I think it's really important when collaborating to like a lot of the industry's perspective is that when you collaborate upwards. So then it kind of brings you on the same level as the artist that you've collaborated with. But
Mm.
and to get you, I guess, more cross audience exposure. But I tend to not do that. um, maybe to my detriment, I don't know, but I I tend to not do that. I I really enjoy working with like up and coming singer songwriters or voices that are unique, and I've really got an ear for that. I actually really enjoy A&R in my own project and finding talent that is amazing, and then I can help them. Do you know what I mean? And like their voice get heard, mm, on a dance record that might be heard by whoever it is, or might be being played on Radio One, and then that person's name is being said like constantly alongside mine. Like that's kind of more how I like to work when it comes to collaboration. I really love like jazz genres and like neo soul. So whenever it comes to like vocals, I'm always looking in like the neo soul world, or and when I say neo soul, I mean like, well, to be honest, it could be worldwide. I'm yet to work with someone across seas, which would be lovely to do,
Mm.
on vocals. But yeah, like for instance, Loey on Night Drift, her voice is absolutely insane. And yeah, it was a really great process working with her. And she's got a really bright future ahead of her. And she's like released lots of different projects and stuff. And, you know, it's doing really well. So yeah, like, or Ollie Hannaford on Background Noise. Like I guess that was my like second EP that I did, called Intersection, which came out on Future Bounce, Jamz Supernova's label.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but Ollie Hannaford was putting tracks on SoundCloud, and I just really loved his voice and just invited him to the studio. And yeah, we made Background Noise. And I remember he didn't even like it in the beginning. It's so funny. It's like, not really too sure I'm feeling this. I was like, Ollie, trust me, it's gonna be great. Like,
That's
it's actually gonna be
always a good
great.
sign. Always a good sign if one of the people working on it doesn't like it.
I know. He's like, yeah, yeah. And then I tweaked around with it, and he's like, okay, cool, yeah, it's cool, I like it, kind of thing. And then it got played by
Yeah.
Elton John on Apple Music.
Wow.
So it's like that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, that kind of collaboration and like really trying to like A&R and be a bit specific with the sound. Also, sometimes it's not necessarily even that I'm looking for. Sometimes I'll make a beat and I'm looking for a specific tone, like on the track. Um, so yeah, and then I search through and like look through like different artists on SoundCloud for their tone specifically as well. As if someone's got the perfect tone that is willing to work with me, who is maybe more established, then great, because I'll be reaching out to them. But sometimes also as an up and coming artist or producer, you don't always have the privilege of working with these kind of artists because, you know,
Hmm.
it gets a little bit more political as you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are so many creative and talented people out there that, yeah, I think you're right to do what you do. And maybe in the way that you marketed yourself and you got out there with that first EP,
Mm,
like it being a bit of, like, because marketing campaigns and all that kind of stuff are so well trodden. I think sometimes approaching it in your own way, where you just do whatever you think is right and to speak to the people that you want to speak to, like sometimes probably that natural approach that you took, was beneficial because it was real. And I think also the fact that the guy you worked with who didn't like his vocal, like it's or didn't like the track, it's really honest, isn't it? You know, because
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
time along he could have just gone, yeah, it's great, and not really felt it. But I think that's a really good sign as well in a creative space that people are like open with each other.
Yeah, definitely. And it's more diving into, okay, cool, what don't you like about it, and what can we do to, make it feel more comfortable? Or do you not like the reverb? Should I change that? Or is it like, I don't know, is it the lyrics? Like, let's actually work it out, because that is what a collaboration is. Just because I like it, doesn't mean that's final. you know.
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
amazing that Elton John played it. That's
yeah.
kind of yeah, kind of reassuring you, right? That it was a
Yeah.
good idea.
Exactly. So it's like, well, Elton likes it, so
That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You spoke about Jam Supernova there, who is a yeah, like BBC Radio 6 music presenter, and
Mhm.
yeah, lots of other things. Yeah. How did it come about working with her, and what's she been like to work with?
She's amazing. I think Jamz is one of those people that just has got the best ear, and like does it for all the right reasons. So I met Jamz through, so when I was saying that, during uni, I was going to like all these different networking events and stuff. Well, I actually ended up volunteering for an events company, a few events companies, but this one was called This Is Wired, run by Kate Bond. So who became my mentor and kind of guided me, and we was putting on really cool events. We did one with like Jordan Mackay, Anderson Paak. She used to host them at Soho House. And then after a few, like, a year or so, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, Kate actually gave me the reins to put on like my own night or craft the talent of like who I wanted on the lineup. So I was obsessed with Jamz and like the music that she was playing on One Extra at the time, and just how she would support that scene, that future bounce scene, that kind of, Kate Trinada-esque, but also like vocalists in that world. And yeah, I was like, oh my god, like, if we've got the budget, can we book Jam Supernova? So the lineup was Jams, I think Olivia Nelson, Cara Mani, and myself and Blue Canarino. So yeah, it was it was really fun. It's called Wow and Flutter, and it happened at the it happened at Soho House Shoreditch, and I was on. I was playing before Jams was, so I was there DJing, living my best life, whatever. And then she walked into the room. I was like, oh my god, it's Jams. And then she came up to me and like, introduced herself, and which was really lovely. And then she said, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a DJ and producer. She's like, oh, you produce? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, I'd love to hear some of your music. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then I mixed it in and played it for her there and then. And she was like, whoa, this is really good. And then, yeah, she's like, I'm actually starting a label next year. I'd love to talk about maybe, getting an EP or something together. And I was like, yeah, sure. But she really took a chance because she'd only really heard Blossom, like maybe a few demos that I had, but nothing like substantial enough, if that makes sense. She didn't know what I was going to make. Never did I. so, so yeah, so she put me in Pirate Studios, and yeah, that's where I made Intersection, the EP, and that came out. Oh gosh, I can't actually remember the year, which is really bad. But
2019,
oh, thank you.
according to my notes.
2019, yeah. And yeah, that was incredible. Featured Tiana Major9, Intellect, Lay Full Stop, yeah, just loads of names that I just, yeah, kind of love. And again, with the production of that, it was like working with up and coming musicians and different, yeah, different people. Samuel Elliott is someone that I work with a lot on keys and stuff. So yeah, it
Mm.
became intersection, and I guess I called it intersection at the time because I felt like I was at an intersection in my life, whether to go down the music business route or to pursue my career as an artist because I love doing both. So
Yeah, yeah, because you seem to have a talent for the production, the performance side of things, but also the interconnectivity behind the scenes as
mm.
well with your A&R experience, and also, yeah, perhaps the agency that you set up.
Yeah, so I kind of alongside I was doing a lot at uni. When I think about it. Alongside like uni, I was on Represent Radio with Blue Canarinho, who actually taught me how to DJ. Didn't actually know how to DJ. And I'd done like drop-in sessions, but actually taking it seriously. So we was on we did the represent radio training course, and then progressed to having a show called Brown and Blue, and we did that for 5 years, 4 or 5 years on Represent, and it was a home of new age smooth. Like that's literally what the tagline was, and we'd interviewed Little Sims, Jordan Mackay, Division, Roy Woods, countless names, but then also like most of like the kind of SoundCloud um, revolution at the time is probably the best way to call it. Like Drew Van Dow and like Sango and Kayla Mastro, Digital Mozart, Sean Gran, like the whole gang of future beats basically. And the show actually became quite popular on Represent. And it's really one of my favorite times in the industry. Just like speaking about music with all these amazing, talented people every Sunday, 10 to 12. And yeah, we ended up, yeah, meeting a lot of really cool people. And one of them was a girl called Georgia who worked at Warner Records, and she wanted to start bringing through some acts to our show. So yeah, like Division and Roy Woods, they came through, and then she was like, "Oh, we're looking for a radio assistant. Do you know anyone?" And I was like, "Me, please." I'd like to do that. And then, yeah, and at the time, I was also broadcast assistant for Reese Parkinson on Represent, who then went on to One Extra. And
Mm.
so, yeah, in the interview process, it was kind of, yeah, me basically just talking about all the different areas of music that I love. And yeah, managed to get the job. So
Great. And what does a broadcast assistant do? What do you do in that role?
So, a broadcast assistant is basically you prepare notes about each of the songs that is lined up to play on the show to give to the presenter, so they've got some more information about it, and the links aren't empty. When I say link, it's like when the presenter talks over the music, that would be called a link. So yeah, and research, and then maybe contacting guests for shows, um, recording interviews, like filming them, and also audio. Assisting the artists when they come, like dealing with the management, meeting them at the front door, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's broadcast assistant. So I was doing that. But all of this, I don't actually think I started earning money in music until I actually started working at Warner. Like I was volunteering the whole time, like for
Mm.
maybe like 5 years. Just meeting people and building my experience, and I think that's really important. I don't really like I'm never going to glorify the unpaid life because it's not necessarily sustainable, um But yeah, I did that. That's kind of how I got to where I am in that way. Just and being able to rely on family and my mum and my nan, and they would just support me, and you know
Mm.
yeah, it's something. It's a position that not a lot of people maybe have access to. So I'm aware that it might be a bit more of a privileged position to have, your family support you until the end on such a creative career. Um, but yeah, I was fortunate enough to experience that, and I think volunteering, yeah, was the way forward. But then I also did get a Saturday job at Barrett's. Don't know if you remember the shoe shop Barrett's.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked there, and then I worked in the body shop and benefit makeup. So yeah, I've done it all to try and like make this music thing work. Um,
Yeah, you did write an article for DJ Mag as well about producers getting paid for their art
yeah,
fairly
I did.
recently.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it is. I guess now is a challenging time for music. Yeah, how do you make that work, and how do you kind of how do you balance that in your life?
Um, mm, how you do balance it? I mean, it's quite a complex subject because it is hard to balance. Like there's no doubt about that. I think since I got a DJ agent, my fees were able to rise on gigs and bookings and stuff, which enabled me to support myself, financially and stuff. But then also you're always relying on being booked, and then like if you're not booked, you can't pay rent. And then
Mm.
if you can't pay rent, then do you know what I mean? That's not good. So yeah, I think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of royalties and I guess the ecosystem of the music industry and supporting up and coming artists and talent without them having to sign away all their rights for an advance that won't last them very long in this world, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, it's definitely something that I'm still navigating. I've never just well, actually, no. So I started I started at Warner in I think it was 2018. Yeah. And then 2019 the Intersection EP came out. So yeah, so I worked there for 2.5 years as a radio assistant, and that was really an amazing opportunity to get to see like the ins and outs of how a major label works, and how you break an artist from their first piece of music to superstar. Like I was on campaigns the likes of Parsaloo, Griff, Leanne Lahavis, Get Nines,
Oh,
Anderson
nice.
Pack. Yeah, it was
Wow.
really cool. So I got to see a lot, and actually also be able to input a lot by taking a lot of these artists, all of those names that I mentioned, to community radio. So I took them back to Represent and RinseFM and Foundation FM, and you know, really, especially with an up and coming arts acts like Parsley and Griff, like they were brand new. No one really knew who they were and what apart from the music. So yeah, taking them to shows like Henry on Represent, who's now on Kiss, and like I don't know, Camilla Rose, who was on Foundation FM, is now on Capital Extra. Like lots of the growth of the music industry you can find happening at community radio stations because they're the next stars. Like Munya Chihuahua was on Represent, and Remy Bergs, and like all these different incredible voices that you hear. So yeah, it was really great to be able to utilize my knowledge of community radio and bring that talent to those stations.
And how
And
do you break an artist? Like you mentioned, like the sort of campaigns. Like what would be the tried and tested? I mean, I'm not
mm,
saying that I want to
thing
do it for
is,
myself, but in general.
that's the thing. There's actually no blueprint, which is the hardest thing. You've just got to kind of connect with the culture and fit that artist into a world that supports them and is going to be good for them in the long term. For instance, like taking Parsaloo to a show with Henry. I mean, Henry was at the time and still is like so. She's such a social media kind of personality who is able to connect with audiences just past the radio and past screens, you know what I mean? So you always want to try and pair an artist with someone that you think they'd actually get along with, because if you get a good interview, then that and you get that artist talking about, like, I guess their life and like what sparks them, the meaning behind the music. That's always a great thing. You can't go wrong with that. But there's also, like, I guess at a major labels, like it's almost like a machine. So you've got marketing and digital and, you know, a bit of a bigger spend to put behind an up and coming artist. But then you look at even myself as a kind of case study. I've never been signed to a major label, and somehow I've managed to have, a good amount of success. So that's what I mean. There's not really a blueprint. You just kind of have to connect with audiences and people that get it, that get you and feel real. Maybe, I think it's always good to maybe look at an artist that you're inspired by, or like you kind of want to be in a similar position to, and look at how they started, go all the way back to their very first projects or campaigns, or maybe see who they signed with early on. Like, what was the path? Go work backwards. I think
Mm.
that's always interesting to see as well.
Yeah, I think that is also really valuable whenever you're researching an artist or looking at their career. Yeah, you look at their output that's now, but it's so fun to just flip it and look at like the older stuff and see
Yeah.
where they came from. Same with like YouTubers and stuff like that. It's like you'd start to chart your own journey of their career.
Exactly. And like then you get an authentic picture of, oh, okay, well maybe, I could try doing this, or just try and paint a bit of a picture of, okay, you see them there, but what were the steps that got them there? And I think a
Mm.
lot of the time people don't realize how much sacrifice goes into becoming this high level public facing artist. It's,
Yeah,
it's
like
a lot of sacrifice.
in terms of like when you're in the studio using Logic, do you have what sort of studio tools are you using?
Do you know what? That's also another thing. I'm not really necessarily like a fanatic on like software and tools and stuff. I just kind of like try and test and try. Like I really love like the Waves plugins, bits and bobs. I always like buy a bunch of stuff in Black Friday
Hmm.
and then just test it throughout the year. I don't like, I'm not very specific when it comes to what I use in the studio. Like I really love trying to use as many real instruments as I can, or like getting to record trumpets and saxophones and stuff like that. And yeah, I think there's these plugins by Big Dada, which I really enjoy using.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, the smile face. I think it's called Dada Smile, something like
Endless
that.
Smile.
Endless Smile. There we go.
Yeah,
Love
that's a
using that
classic.
one. It's so good. It just makes me happy when I use it as well. I'm like,
Yeah, the guy
yeah.
puts his hands up in the air, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And he got a big
exactly.
smile. Yeah, yeah, and the smell is amazing. They also do the sausage fattener as well, which is like a
Yeah,
distortion plugin, which has got like a little sausage character who gets like more and more angry.
exactly. And it just makes it makes the production process fun. Do you know what I mean? Like that's engaging to me. Um
Yeah, I think one thing to mention that relates to the endless smile is I'm not if you're familiar with it. Baby Audio Transit. Have you seen Baby Audio's Transit?
no, I haven't actually.
Oh, okay, so Endless Smile, for people that aren't familiar with it, is like a plugin. You've got your track like banging, you've got the drums going and the bass, and Endless Smile allows you to create a drop section really, but with
Mm.
different algorithms behind the scenes that you can't alter. We're adding like reverb, EQ, and all that kind of thing. So Baby Audio Transit is like it's that, but you have control over all these different modules.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
you've got like that one knob in the top left corner, which is like how much of this effect is happening.
Mm.
But yeah, Transit is one of my favorite plugins because it's just so easy. Instead of like having to do like a really complicated, glitchy like automation in your DAW and like adding chorus just for that one section,
Yeah.
Baby Audio Transit just it does that, and you can just stick it in different parts of your track, even just at the end of a bar, and just sweep it up and then back down again, and it kind of it's endless smile, but you can look under the hood,
Hood, yeah.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to see like companies coming up with like quicker ways to make before you'd have had to put do you know what I mean? Like use this gate and then use this delay and echo and like automate it all at the same time and now there's
yeah.
just a plugin that does it all for you. It's like it's wild.
It
So
is wild, especially people in the 90s who look at that now, who had to like have one piece of hardware for each of
yeah,
those elements,
exactly.
like that many things just to do a bit of processing.
Yeah, but then it's really good because it makes the creative process like quicker. Like instead of having to bulk out 2 hours of your studio session to get that drop to sound like that, it's done and you can move on to the next bit. So yeah, I think I just try and be as fluid as I can in the studio and like yeah, collaborating with like vocalists. So I like to write my own music as well, in terms of lyrics as well,
Mm.
and collaborate with like the vocalists. Like for instance, Night Drift with Loey, we wrote that together, and I was just basically telling her about how nice it is to like be driving home from a gig or a festival and the lights are kind of guiding you home on the motorway and you kind of like the chorus is goodbyes that take me on this night drift basically, so you said goodbye to everybody and then you're kind of like driving back home and yeah, it's just stuff like that. Like I really do like to have as much input in lyrics and stuff as I can because it's just unique to me. And if I'm a producer artist and want to be able to tell a story, fair enough, I'm not singing it, but it'd be nice to to tell a story of like all my travels and stuff that I care about.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned about when you interviewed artists, it was really good to find the meaning behind the music. Yeah, you talked a little bit there about like the afterglow of driving back for Night Drift. What is your meaning behind your music? Do you think about it like does it yeah, how would you respond to that?
I think I don't like kind of have one like big meaning. I think it's track by track basis, and it moves a lot with my own emotions and how how my everyday life, my lived experiences and stuff. Like for instance, I've got a track coming out called Spirit, and it's called Spirit. There's no lyrics that say Spirit. It's just called Spirit because at the time I was trying to like reconnect with, my spirit and my love for music and why I started in the first place. So I think, but then with a track called Feel About You, it was more Annie that kind of came up with that hook, because it kind of led off of her poetry, which was beautiful, about feeling a certain way about someone, and then I'm able to bounce off that and lean in about, the experiences I've had with love and stuff like that. So it's there's never really one kind of, one answer to all of that. It is quite fluid.
Absolutely. That was a very poorly worded question as well, so apologies for that.
That's okay.
I think that's the one thing I normally say at the beginning of interviews is like, just let me formulate the question like 6 times and I'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your track, Feel About You with Annie Mac, which won Best Dance Track of the Year 2022.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Billboard, that was a moment. It's the best way to describe it. It was yeah, filled with emotion, that moment. It was something that, because obviously I've worked in the radio industry, I never imagined I would. I mean, Annie Mac wasn't even an artist, and she's still not.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like, wow, this is really, really cool and like amazing and, yeah, overwhelming. But in the best possible way.
Yeah, and how did it come about that you kind of heard her poetry, and then where did it go from there?
So the story goes, I went on a production mentoring course with a platform called She Is the Music. And She Is the Music basically, supports women in music and production world, and tries to like further their career or give them the support they need. So I applied for the course, and it was with Fred Again and Kamille. And
Amazing.
we was able to have an insight into their production, and like, Fred's production with Ed Sheeran, and Camille with like Little Mix, and just all these different like kind of incredible insights that you wouldn't have been able to have, um if you wasn't in that room, if that makes sense. And we got like
Absolutely.
live feedback on our tracks, and production process, and some cool tips and tricks and stuff. And so yeah, during that time they also brought in special guests. So like Emanike was a guest, Ray was a guest, and then also Toddla T. So because my music is, I'd say, less commercial in that way, I found it so interesting, like all the different guests that were coming in, and I really was thinking about ways I can apply that to, you know, some soulful bits in that way. But then Toddler T came in, and like we just got on like a house on fire. And it was just really good to like bounce off each other's energy, and like we made some really weird broken jazz kind of beat, and it didn't make any sense, but we just had really really good fun making it. And then that was that. And then I came out of that studio session feeling like really, or studio workshop, shall I say, feeling like really inspired. And lucky enough, I have a manager, Jamila, who is amazing. I actually met her at Warner. We both worked there, and then she went on to start a management company. But she helped me during my Intersection EP. Just like, she was like to me, Mel, have you registered your songs on PRS? And I said, what is PRS? Like, I don't know. And she kind of guided me. So that kind of management relationship happened very naturally. So I was lucky enough to be able to have her, on side, and her guidance, and her time, really, because it takes a lot of time to be an artist manager. So I called her and I was like, I just had a great time with like Toddler T and all the girls in the workshop and stuff, and please, can we get a studio session with him? Like, please try it somehow, please. And then she's like, okay. So she managed to make it happen. And yeah, I was in the studio with Toddla and Adrian McLeod in West London. And then we had a great time and we made the beat for Feel About You, which was really amazing. We just really loved it, and we was like just buzzing and just had a great time, and that was that. And then just kind of went home, and I went home and I was just, super excited about the day I'd had, and just listening to the beat over and over again, thinking, oh, what vocal am I going to get on it? And Toddla T went home and played it to his lovely wife, Annie. And he, yeah, as far as the story goes, it's like he played it to her and she was like, can you send it to me? And then she started writing lyrics to it. And
Oh,
then
amazing.
I woke up the next morning with a WhatsApp message from Annie Mac saying, hi Mel, I hope you don't mind, I've jumped in your song. And I was like, what is actually happening right now? So yeah, and it was, and then she sent me it on WhatsApp, and it was just absolutely amazing, and it was just a moment that I'll never like forget. And then
It's
we
a
all
great
got back
track.
into the studio together and was trying to like, because she literally recorded it on her iPhone, and then T like put it over the beat, and yeah, it was just great. It couldn't be recreated, basically. We tried so hard to get it on a microphone. I said, Annie, I'm so sorry. We're just going to have to use the original voice note because nothing,
Yeah,
you know, we don't want it to sound too rehearsed, And by that time, we'd done it a few times. And I just think she just hit the nail on the head so, like, beautifully and instantly on the first take. So, yeah, we actually used the first take. And then some of the like the chorus and stuff was recorded in the studio, but the poem was the original voice note.
excellent. Yeah, because I guess there's like an innocence to those early recordings, and
Mm,
the character and the energy of the moment of like hearing it, and the inspiration to go and record it. There's a classic story of Keith Flint for the Prodigy.
mm.
The Firestarter lyrics were not the lyrics, sorry. The recording of the Firestarter, like the main vocal, was done in a hotel room as like a draft track,
I love that.
and they tried to replicate it again in the studio, and they just couldn't get the
Yeah,
energy.
yeah,
And then, I mean, Firestarter became one of the most, if not the most iconic Prodigy tracks.
yeah.
And yeah, the vocal came out of nowhere. And I think also I was listening to Eats Everything talking recently, because he had Goldie.
Uh-huh.
He used a Goldie voice note on his album, which ended up also being the title of the album. But similarly, like he got sent a voice note on WhatsApp, and he
Mm.
heard something in there, and they tried to re-record it, and the original voice note was like the one.
Was the one, yeah. It's something about that special connect, like energy and the like. I don't know, the rawness of it that actually connects to your soul and your spirit. Do you know what I mean? And that you can tell the difference when it's like forced or staged, or let's re-record it. Like sometimes you just can't re-record the moment. You just can't. It's already captured. Everything you needed to capture in that moment is already there. So just go with it.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, amazing to have that become best dance track of the year. Um, yeah, and I think when you were talking about the meaning behind your music, and they've each like each track's got its own meaning, or its own kind of thoughts behind it. Like some of your recent music, like "Give Them Love," like a lot of your music's really uplifting, right? It kind of uplifts people, and
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
surrounded, yeah, sort of allowing people to have a good time, like have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I never kind of, yeah, I don't think I would ever release a track that's like moody unless I'm really going through something. You'll know, you'll be like, oh, Mel's going through something right now. But yeah, no, like give him love and night drift, feel about you, one more chance, even though like I guess the meaning behind that was kind of like I was this was just before the whole Feel About You, I believe. And I was just like, oh, what am I doing? Like, is music industry for me? Is being an artist full time for me? Like, maybe I should, pack it all up and just, you know, focus on a day job kind of vibe.
Hmm.
And then I was like, oh, let me try. In my head, I was like, let me just try and give this one more go. But then I came across a sample, and it's like the lyrics of One More Chance, like give you one more chance to show, let you decide to make things right. And although that sounds like it's more like within a relationship, I didn't change the sample because I just loved it, but equally it kind of matched how I was feeling about the industry, and kind of subconsciously in my head, that's kind of like what the song was about. But when you hear it as a listener, you think maybe it's about a relationship or something like that. But in my head, it's kind of about the relationship I have with the music industry and trying to make it work, basically. Which plays into my DJ Mag article about, how did producers make money and a living off of their music. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you spoke about like when you were in the studio with Toddla T and you were working on stuff and some of it didn't make sense. I think
Mm,
that's an amazing creative thing to do, right? David Byrne from Talking Heads, like
yeah.
one of his mantras is stop making sense. Like,
Mm,
because then you get like really creative and you get into like a really different space if you're not trying to conform, if you're not trying to create things for other people.
yeah, just have fun with it,
Mm. Cool. So, yeah, what sort of stuff are you working on at the moment, or that you'd like to kind of mention to people?
yeah, so I've got Release Spirit out on the 9th of May via Fatboy Slim's label Seven Fried.
Oh, amazing.
So I'm really Seven Fried Records. Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. And yeah, and I'm playing some festivals this year. You can catch me at Kaleidoscope Festival with Eats Everything and Goldie and Faithless, actually, at
Wow,
Alexandra Palace,
that would
um,
be sick.
which will be amazing. And that's on the 12th of July. And then I'm also at Mighty Hoopla Festival on the Sunday on the 1st of June. And also I'm playing Gate in Budapest. And that is on August the 8th. So yeah, it's feeling like a good summer. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I think
excited.
just going back to what you mentioned before, like I think all creative people have those doubts. They have the
Mm,
doubts whether they should or could, or like it's kind of healthy to question what you're doing and kind of like look at what you're doing and see where you're going. I think that is a healthy thing to do.
yeah.
Um, but no one ever won a Grammy like by deciding to let's just give it up and move on with my life. Like no one ever won a Grammy thinking like that. So I always say like part of not giving up is part of how you become successful.
It's
And
true.
like
It's the resilience and like the strength to keep powering through, and you know being able to find stuff or jobs that will support your creative output. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I started Melody Agency and continuing radio plugin within the community space, because one is community radio. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I love supporting those stations. But also I think it's great for up and coming artists to get their first breaks on stations like Represent, Foundation FM, Voices, Worldwide FM, The Beat London, West Side, Swoo, Rinse. There's just so many, stations, and I think a lot of the time up and coming artists overlook those stations and the power that community radio has. They think straight to BBC or straight to, Capital or elsewhere. But I do think it's really important to kind of ground yourself properly in the industry by starting with community and working your way up.
yeah, and I imagine you have some advice for those people who are coming through now? Bless you.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah. My advice would be create your own opportunities. So, like, for instance, my dissertation was my first CP. Like, just use the opportunities that you have already to propel yourself further. Don't be afraid to network. I know it's like tedious and it feels scary, but the only thing that someone is going to do is say, "Oh, sorry, I can't talk right now," or, you know, mm, like, no, if you're asking something. And the more you hear no, the kind of less scary it becomes.
Absolutely.
So you got to start trying to hear no, I think, which is such bad advice, but such great advice, because you have to start hearing no to like be like, okay, cool, it's a no. Let's move on. What's next? Do you know?
Yeah, I
And
think,
like,
yeah. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you go up to someone and say, "Hey, do you want to listen to my new EP?" Like, they go, "No," but like, okay, you don't have to. But then they're probably so probably says something about them, like in
yeah,
terms of it.
exactly. I
Like,
think just finding your community, like, don't, like I say about collaborating, don't always think about, collaborating up. Collaborate more sideways, because you're all going up. Whether you believe it or not, that is kind of, if you keep going, like, you will get somewhere. So yeah, I think it's really important to tap into what's going on around you and the community that you build, because they're the ones that's going to support you throughout the rest of your career, and also support other people. Don't always ask, like, support, show up to shows, buy tickets, like, comment on their Instagram posts or whatever it is, share their music. Like, I think when you show love, naturally love comes back to you in the best way. But don't show love obviously just to get love. I just mean, like, just be authentic and just, like, be a nice person, support what you like, basically.
absolutely. Yeah, I was going to ask you about a mantra, but you kind of just said one.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, I think that's really true, and I think in the experience that I've had, the most talented people are the most successful and talented people are the people who are most open and who are
Mm.
most helpful. Like helpful, answer questions, and supportive.
Yeah, and also don't be afraid to, like, ask questions. And try and get to as many panel events or networking events as you can, and tell people about what you're doing. You might not even be an artist, you might be a manager or something, but just, like, get out and meet people and hear new music, and you'll find your way. I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but you generally will. You'll find your way, you'll find your path, and your people. And also, I always got told, "Oh, don't worry about finding a manager will find you." And I was like, "Well, how's the manager going to find me?" Like, really? Like, I don't believe that piece of information that you've told me. But it's true. A manager actually does find you. Do you know what I mean? The right person will find you. The right person who aligns with your spirit, your energy, your goals will find you. So just trust the process. Although it's hard to trust. I don't even trust it sometimes.
Yeah, it's
But I
kind of
have to
faith in
remind
the
myself. Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of like have faith in the universe, do good things, and have faith in the universe, and it'll
Yeah.
yeah, you can pull it all together.
And it
Well,
might it might not be like tomorrow. It might not be next week. It might be 3 years down the line that you've met someone, and then we cross paths again, and all of a sudden they're, I don't know, marketing at TikTok or something, and you're a manager and you've got an up and coming artist, and because of that connection that you had those 3 5 years ago, they're more willing to listen to you and believe in your story and your project. So yeah, like, plant the seed and then watch it grow. Yeah.
excellent. Well, that's a great note to end on. Thank you very much for speaking to us today, Mel.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're clearly very talented in so many different aspects in the music industry. It's really admirable to see someone with such a broad range of skills, you know, that you
Oh.
bring to the music and behind the scenes too, community stuff.
Thank you, Chris. It means really a lot. And yeah, it's great what you're doing with Sonic State as well. And like having lots of different perspectives from the music industry. I think that's super important for people to hear and like get a real in-depth view of like how it all works. And, you know, yeah, I think it's really great. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I should just mention that thank you. It's really kind of you. Sonic State is celebrating 30 years in the industry this year. So,
Wow.
you know, those guys have been doing it for a long time, been at the forefront, and I'm a small cog in the machine.
No, you're a great cog.
Great cog, small cog, but integral to the workings. But yeah, thank you, Mel. It's been really great to speak to you.
Really great. Thank you, Chris. I'm glad we can make this happen.
Oh, lovely to speak to Mel. I just want to caveat that whole interview and say that we did that on a Sunday morning. I think it was a bank holiday weekend as well. So props to Mel for doing it at that time, and also props to myself for doing it. Although, some of the questions probably could have been a bit more incisive, but it was like 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So yeah, that's how it goes. But great to hear from Mel anyway, and do go and check out her music. She's just released her track Spirit, and she's got a whole host of festivals coming up, as she suggested there at the end. Go and check out her music, especially if you're into house music. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for tuning in to Sonic State as well. Sonic State are celebrating their 30th anniversary right now, so congratulations to Andy and Nick. You can get 15% off their Patreon, all of the Patreon tiers, by signing up now with the code SONIC30, and your support is very much appreciated. Thank you once again for listening. We have an amazing guest on the next episode. I've already recorded it and I'm very excited to share that with you soon. Stay well, look after each other, and I'll see you again soon.